Hello, my name is Mrs. Karen MacGuigan, and I'm your eighth grade science teacher for your son or your daughter this school year. I'm going to go through my presentation as I would if you were in here from our back to school night, but instead it's virtual. So this is a screencastify of everything that I'm going to go over for back to school night. So hopefully you enjoy watching, and I wish you could be here, but if this is kind of the next best thing. So please sit back, relax, and then of course, if you have any questions at the end of my video, please feel free to reach out to me with my contact information at the end. So this is a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's of science in biology and secondary education. And then I also have my master's in curriculum instruction. So I went through a lot of schooling to be here with your son or daughter. And there's no place I'd rather be. It's my 13th year teaching at Delsey Middle School. I actually have some experience at the high school, but now I'm full-time at the middle school. I'm married. I have two children, two boys. I love going on adventures with my family and friends. And then these are just some of my interests or hobbies outside of being a science teacher. I know your son or your daughter, they only think of me as a science teacher, but I try and tell them that there's a little bit more to me than just being their science teacher. Class expectations, I feel like I've been really stressing these since the very beginning of the school year, being respectful to all who enter, anyone who enters, including themselves. Be respectful of their belongings and school property. Be responsible for your words and your actions. Be prepared for class, and that also includes being punctual or being on time. And then follow their team rules and school policies. So these two are great resources. I'm sure if you've been in the district or came here the seventh grade, you know that we use Google Classroom. We're a Google school, so Google Classroom is kind of our main way to actually get information out to you. And then I also am a big proponent of Remind or Remind 101. It's a service that sends students and parents a text message about anything that we're doing in class, studying. You have a quiz tomorrow. Please get your lab safety contract signed. Don't forget to finish your lab questions from class today. So it's called Remind. Many of you guys are already synced up. Most of the kids are already synced up. So if you need individual help on that, I can definitely help you with that. On course is your means to check your grades. So everyone at this point should have their login information. If you see an X or a 0, that means that the assignment wasn't completed for whatever reason, or it's missing. As a reminder, students can turn in an assignment on Google Classroom, even though it's not complete. Some parents think that just because they turn it in, it has to be completed, and that's not true. And then students and parents and guardian who do not have their login for OnCourse, you should contact the office, and they can kind of help you with that navigation process. Homework is assigned nightly. A lot of times students only think of homework as being written homework, but they should always be reviewing. So they should be reviewing the content that we're covering. Like, last week we did safety, and this week we're kind of tackling science tools, which they quizzed out yesterday or today. So they should really be focusing and reviewing any of the material from class daily to make sure that they can stay on top of it. Homework portal is basically where you can digitally go and see my homework that has been posted every night. And there is also, I like to say, homework help or homework clinic every day after school. I'm specifically always here on Fridays. So if they're really struggling in science or they're absent for a bunch of days, Friday would be the time to specifically come so they can have Miss Mac as their science teacher and go through what they're missing. To assure success in science, it's expected that each student arrives on time each day and be prepared for today's activities. It's responsibility of the student to complete any missed work from when they were absent, whether it's because they have to quarantine or if they're sick. It's their responsibility to go under Google Classroom. Now, I've seen how students more recently in the past year or so email their teacher and say, I'm going to be out today. What did I miss? Right. And my answer almost always is log into Google Classroom. There's going to be a video posted that reviews the assignment, and I have a detailed description of what we did in class today. So that's going to be your best resource in order to complete whatever you need to for the days that you are out. Late work, where you have basically a 2-day grace period. After that, it's basically a 0. And it's really important that you let me know. So if they were out and then they made up the assignment, I don't necessarily always get an alert. So it's important just shoot me an email, say, Miss Mac, I was absent on Wednesday. I completed the assignment. Could you please grade it? Right. So I can replace that 0 in the grade book. I don't always know that they completed it, because if it wasn't turned in and then it is turned in, sometimes those notifications don't go through for Google. Of course, they can always set up a time during AE if they need help to make up any of those missing assignments. Retake policy. Delsey Regional Middle School starting a new school-wide retesting policy. If they receive 69 or below, they can retake any quiz or test or assessment grade. They're not permitted on homework, classwork, or labs, or of course the marking period assessment. And of course, the student will get an average of the 2 grades. So, if they get a 64 and they get 100, then the average of those 2 grades will be the score that will go into the grade book. Again, it has to come from the student. That's part of, getting them ready for the high school. Make sure that they contact the teacher, say, I want to do a retake form, and then we can start the process. So your syllabus overview, these are on the following couple slides. So feel free, to review. I know almost everybody turned that in, the first or second week of school, that you acknowledge the syllabus. You had no questions. Some of you did have questions, which is great. I really encourage those questions. So this is all about kind of why we teach what we teach. I tell the kids all the time, I don't pick the topics. I just have to read our curriculum and our state standards, and I interpret what those are, and then I kind of make it part of our everyday, day-to-day science class. This is the grading scale, which is kind of new this year. So if you want to take a quicker glance at this, your percentages are 60% for tests, quizzes, projects, and labs. 10% for your MPA, and then 30% for your homework and classwork, which obviously totals 100%. And then this is your rule of thumb for your letter grades. It's a 10-point range. In the past, it wasn't, so it wasn't necessarily fair and equitable. So we changed it this year. So every essentially score or letter grade corresponds with a certain score. This is also new this year. You have the GPA range, so you can kind of see where that falls in terms of letter grades. I know parents are kind of probably more comfortable with, A's, B's, C's, D's, and it's just going to equate to the GPA that you see in on-course. And then the last part of the lesson, or the next couple slides, are the topics that we're going to cover. So scientific processes, we're kind of right around here. With lab equipment, mathematical applications, scientific tools, problem solving. And then we're going to start up scientific method too. That's kind of problem solving right there. And then we're going to jump over to characteristics of life and cells. That's going to take out basically the end of the first marking period. Then we're going to get to genetics and traits, genetic disorders, structures of DNA, the history of genetics with Gregor Mendel. Then we're going to jump into, human body, which kind of takes us a little bit of time to actually get through all the systems, or these 5 major systems that we're going to cover. Then earth science, which is the rock cycle, weather, and plate tectonics. Fossil record through evolution. So you're going to have fossil dating, embryological development, and changes in life forms over time. And then natural selection and adaptation, which is basically like our evolution unit. And then energy flow in the ecosystem, photosynthesis, transfer of energy, cellular respiration, ecosystems, as well as ecology. That's kind of what number 9 is all about: energy pyramids, food webs, food change, biodiversity. Environmental resources and earth and stability. How does our carbon footprint influence our world? Renewable, non-renewable resources. And then last but not least, human impact on our earth. Okay, so how can we design solutions to impact our earth? And then of course, the major topic of global warming. So our last slide today is, again, of course, my contact information. You have my location, you have my phone, as well as my Delsey email address. Some of you guys prefer email, some of you guys prefer phone calls. So it really just depends on your preference, but those are all the ways to contact me. So thank you again for rewatching or watching this for my back to school night intro for my 8th grade students. Again, my name is Mrs. Mack, and I'm your son or daughter's 8th grade science teacher. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.